Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Clarissa Rodriguez, Chair of the New York State Workers' Compensation Board. Today's full board meeting is being webcast live for members of the public. Welcome. It is also being facilitated by an American Sign Language interpreter. Thank you for being here. I now have the honor of calling the 1027th meeting of the full board to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call attendance?
Vice Chair Foster?
Here.
Board Member Higgins?
Here.
Board Member Loban?
Here.
Board Member Williams?
Here.
Board Member Hull?
Here.
Board Member Crane?
Here.
Board Member Stasko?
Here.
Board Member Tavares?
Here.
Board Member Caginelli?
Here.
Board Member Delon?
Here.
Board Member Delgado?
Here.
And Board Member Perez.
Here.
We have a full board today, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Agenda item 1, approval of the November 14th, 2023 meeting minutes. Board members, you have all received the November 2023 meeting minutes for your review. Are there any questions or need for discussion? Okay, hearing none, may I please have a motion to approve the November 2023 meeting minutes?
Madam Chair, Board Member Williams, I move to approve it.
Thank you so much, Board Member Williams. Is there a second?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Pam Caginelli, and I second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Caginelli. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, hearing none. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposition? I am also yes, that motion is passed. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 2, Office of General Counsel's Departmental Report. General Counsel Heather McMaster will now present the Office of General Counsel's Departmental Report for November.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board. In November of 2023, the Office of General Counsel's Adjudication Division held 18,238 hearings. There were 11,915 cases resolved at hearing and 317 reserved decisions issued. The Adjudication Division also finalized 1,997 waiver agreements. The Administrative Review Division received 1,113 applications for review, processed 932, and there are currently 6,416 applications pending. In the Office of Legal Affairs, 99 full board review applications were received, 123 were processed, and there are currently 229 pending. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Board members, are there any questions or need for discussion? Okay, hearing none, may I please have a motion to accept the Office of General Counsel's Departmental Report?
Yes, Madam Chair, Board Member Mark Higgins, I move to approve the report of the Office of General Counsel.
Thank you, Board Member Higgins. Is there a second?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Lauren Loban, and I second the motion.
Thank you, Board Member Loban. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, seeing and hearing no opposition, board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? All right, I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you. Agenda item 3, license applications. Tracy Fitzgerald of the Office of General Counsel will now present this past month's licensing applications. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Rodriguez, Vice Chair Foster, board members and colleagues. You have before you the recommendations from the assigned board panel regarding the licensing applications listed in part 3 of today's agenda. Under section 24A, we have Betty Benet Leibowitz for 3 years, Gina Crawford for 3 years, and Shawnee Rupert for 3 years. Under section 53-B, we have Scribal Associates, Inc., DBA Qual Links, with a qualifying officer, Martin Krutzel, Esquire, for 3 years, and Vision Risk Management Services, Inc., with a qualifying officer of Altagracia Davis, Esquire, for 3 years. And under section 53-D, we have AIG Claims, Inc., with qualifying officer Lynn Weisinger, Esquire, for 3 years, NSTAR US, Inc., qualifying officer Lisa M. Tortora, Esquire, 3 years, Hartford Life and Accident Insurance Company, DB only, qualifying officer Maria Kokias Menos, Esquire, for 3 years, and Risk Management Planning Group, Inc., qualifying officer Matthew Lee, Esquire, for 3 years. I present these recommendations to the board for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Board members, are there any questions or need for discussion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, may I please have a motion to accept the recommendations of the board panels as presented?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Stasko, and I recommend that the licensing applications be approved by the full board.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Stasko. Is there a second?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Lauren Logan, and I second the motion.
Thank you, Board Member Logan. Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, board members, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, no opposition. I am also a yes. That motion is passed. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 4, legal appeals. Heather McMaster will now present the recommendations concerning decisions by the appellate division.
Thank you, Chair. With respect to items 4A through 4P, it is the Office of General Counsel's recommendation to adopt the decisions of the court as the decisions of the board.
Thank you, Heather. May I have a motion to accept the recommendations of the Office of General Counsel?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Pamela Cancinelli, and I make a motion that we accept the decisions made by the General Counsel.
Thank you, Board Member Caginelli. Is there a second?
Board Member Crane, a second.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Crane. Is there any opposition to the motion? Hearing none, board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I am also a yes, that motion is passed. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 5, mandatory full board review. We have only one case this month, and that is 5A, SC and BP Services, Inc., case number G2409-403. Is there a motion with respect to 5A on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Board Member Stephen Crane. I move that the dissenting opinion be adopted as the opinion of the full board.
Thank you, Board Member Crane. Is there a second?
Yes, Madam Chair, Board Member Mark Higgins, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Higgins. Is there any opposition to the motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, there's opposition.
Okay. In light of the opposition, I call upon the secretary for a roll call vote.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Board Member Caginelli,
No.
Board Member Crane,
Yes.
Board Member Delgado,
Yes.
Board Member Delan,
Yes.
Board Member Higgins,
Yes.
Board Member Hull,
No.
Board Member Loban,
Yes.
Board Member Perez,
Yes.
Board Member Stasko,
No.
Board Member Tavares,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Foster,
Yes.
and Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passed.
Okay, passes 10-3. Thank you, board members. Agenda item 6, discretionary full board review. I now turn this portion of the agenda over to Vice Chair Frida Foster. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the cases listed in item 6 in your agenda, it's been recommended that full board review be granted. Those cases are 6A, matter of New York City Transit Authority, and 6B, matter of Albany Marl Incorporated. I move to refer the cases back to their respective panels for further consideration.
Thank you, Vice Chair Frida Foster. Is there a second?
Yes, Madam Chair, I second that motion.
Thank you for that second, Board Member Loban. Are there any recusals from either of these matters? Is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Board members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Hearing no opposition, I am also yes. That motion is passed. Agenda item 7. Board members, is there any other business today? No? Okay. Well, I do have some other business today, if you will all indulge me. As 2023 comes to a close, I would like to take a moment to publicly recognize the many board staff who celebrated employee service milestones this year, and especially our 4 staff members who marked an incredible 50, 60, and 65 years of state service. Celebrating 50 years are Sandra Burke Arrington and Carmen Lugo. Celebrating 60 years of state service, Lorraine Johnson. And celebrating 65 years of state service, all with the board, Josephine Rosenberg. Let's give them a round of applause. It's truly an honor to work alongside such dedicated individuals, all of whom play an important role in achieving our mission and protecting the rights of employees and employers by ensuring the proper delivery of benefits and promoting compliance with the law. On behalf of the full board and the agency, I congratulate you and extend my deepest gratitude for your loyal and conscientious work in serving your fellow New Yorkers. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. And now, if there's no other business, we'll move on to agenda item 8, which is our guest speaker. Welcome, Charlene Obenauer. So I now have the pleasure of introducing today's guest speaker, Charlene Obenauer. Charlene has been with the New York Committee for Occupational Safety and Health, or NYCOSH. She has been the executive director since January 2014. In her role as director, she oversees and develops the NYCOSH's campaigns and advocacy work, bringing an innovative vision to NYCOSH that incorporates research, education, training, coalition building, and member development in order to create healthier jobs in New York State. She is the co-founder of the New York Healthy Nail Salons Coalition, which successfully advocated for New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo for the passage of statewide legislation to combat wage theft and mitigate safety and health hazards in nail salons. Charlene heralded the release of NYCOSH's annual report, Deadly Skyline, on construction fatalities in New York, and is an advocate for safe construction. She has served on Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer's Construction Safety Task Force and has worked closely with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to increase reporting of unsafe worksite among immigrant workers. Charlene sits on the advisory councils of the Downstate Occupational Health Clinics and is the chair of the New Immigrant Community Empowerment. Charlene has been featured in numerous publications, including MSNBC, The New York Times, ABC, CNN, Fox News, and many more. She received her BA from Stony Brook University and her MA in Liberal Studies from the Graduate Center at the City University of New York. Welcome, Charlene. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. And thank you so much, Madam Chair, and to all the distinguished members of the Workers' Compensation Board. It's an honor to be with you this morning. So today, thanks so much for pulling up my presentation. We can just go to the first slide. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about who NYCOSH is and what we do. I know there's a lot of members of the Workers' Compensation Board who come from the labor movement. So many of you may be familiar with our work and our organization, but if you are not, I'm going to talk just a little bit about what we do, and hopefully we'll give some important context of why we do the important work that we do. I do see that my slideshow has disappeared, so I can see while we.
Not sure why.
We're furiously working to get it back up. Yeah.
That's okay. Do you want me to? I have it on my end. Do you want me to get us started while y'all try to figure out the technical?
Yeah, if you can share your screen, that'd be helpful.
Oh, sure. Okay. I didn't know I could do that. Okay.
It was there and disappeared. Yeah.
No worries. Okay. Here's.
It's funny because we saw it.
It was there.
Is this?
It's right there.
You seeing it? Are y'all seeing it?
So
Yeah,
Yep.
but there we. Yes, that's better. Now it's presentation mode. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So just to start us off, we are a membership organization. So that means that individuals, workers, unions, community-based organizations, they actually every single year renew their dues to become members of the organization. And those members make up our executive board. So we have a 15-person executive board composed almost entirely of labor representatives. And we are primarily a training and education organization. That's probably 90% of what we do. But we, of course, also do advocacy to improve health and safety conditions in our workplaces, our communities, and our environment. And we've been around for a while. We were founded in 1979. And we believe, as I'm sure you all do, that many workplace injuries, illnesses, and deaths are preventable. And we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We sometimes people think we're entirely an advocacy organization, but the truth is most of what we do is education and training. So to give you a sense, in the last year, we trained 8,772 workers. in about 538 training sessions. I'm proud to say that one of our biggest programs is our ABCs of Workers' Compensation conference that we put on Long Island with the Long Island Federation of Labor, AFL-CIO, every year. And that's always really well attended because people love to learn more about the workers' compensation system. And I think people also, tend to feel like they can, really ask us questions and any other piece. But I'll talk a little later about the other training programs that we have because we do have a few. And we have two certified schools. So our construction safety school is certified by the New York City Department of Buildings. And we have thus far in the past year had 850 workers who've graduated from our school and received their site safety training cards. So if you're not familiar with the Site Safety Training Program, this is a program based out of Local Law 196 in New York City, which requires that construction workers need to have at least 40 hours of training before they enter a job site. This law came into full effect in March of 2020, and before that, construction workers only had to have 10 hours of training in order to become construction workers in New York City. So because in our philosophy, and I'm sure many of you share this philosophy, the more training a worker experiences before they enter a job site, the less likely they are to be injured on the job site. We were very supportive of this initiative prior to it being passed in New York City. And then, the chair talked about my work with nail salon workers earlier, and we have a nail salon worker school that we founded in 2016, which is Department of State certified. And to date, so since the school started in 2016, we have more than 1,000 nail techs who've graduated from our school. And so when they graduate from our school, it puts them on the path to become licensed manicurists. And even though you might not necessarily think of this with nail salon workers, most of the training curricula is about health and safety. Of course, because infectious diseases can be spread through nail salons, there is a very important aspect of nail salon workers trainings that includes health and safety education, which is why we, as NICOSH, do this school. And I will say we are one of two nonprofit schools that serve nail salon workers in New York State, and we're very proud of that. In terms of our other training and education programs, I mentioned our site safety training and construction safety. We also do sexual harassment training, and we started that a few years ago, maybe around 2019, because even though it's not an occupational safety and health topic necessarily as OSHA views it, we did find this to be a very important aspect of worker safety on the job, including the ways in which, when you are the victim of sexual harassment, the ways in which you can be psychologically impacted and you have psychological hazards as a result. So we really felt that that was important to add to our sample topics and to add to our safety training. I talked about our nail salon worker certification course. I'm also going to talk a little bit about our work around COVID because so this isn't, pretty much anytime there is an infectious disease that emerges, if it's a new infectious disease or if it just enters into New York, we, because we're in public health, we automatically say, okay, what's the worst case scenario here? And because of that way of thinking, in early February of 2020, we actually held with NYSA, the New York State Nurses Association, a forum for their workers on what COVID-19 may mean. And, I will say we don't tell the future. We didn't know that it would be the pandemic that it became. We also did similar work when Ebola emerged in New York City prior to Dr. Craig Spencer becoming infected. We also did some work around, hey, this is a possibility here. So, it may seem like, oh, we did it in February 2020. Well, we didn't know what was going to happen in New York City. I don't think anybody did at that time. But we do try to be on the cutting edge of, some of these issues so that we can really present what could possibly happen. And then, of course, when COVID really emerged and started to blow up in New York City, we started to host daily forums to educate workers on what the risks were. And every forum, it was, we had basically 5 staff on our team who would put together the curricula for the forum every single day. So pretty much their entire job, they would break it up and different people would research different things. And then every day we'd have a fresh forum for people. And we did that for about 2 months. And then we started to switch to like 3 days a week and then 2 days a week and then 1 day a week. But the purpose of this was really to educate our base. We have a mailing list of about 14,000 people. And the COVID forums were very well attended. Some forums we had 500 plus people. Of course, these were virtual. And it's still a popular program. We recently had a forum on new emerging infectious diseases, which was also really well attended. So we do try to keep people updated on that. And then finally, on the COVID piece, we did education around vaccines, particularly in the Latinx community. As many of you probably know, a lot of our outreach is focused on immigrant and Latinx workers, primarily because a lot of injuries and illnesses happen within the Latinx community, especially when we're talking about construction and nails and some of the key industries that we focus on. So this is also a community that has lower vaccination rates. And so we decided to partner with the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences to put together an extensive vaccination education program for the Latinx community. And finally, disaster preparedness. This is something that we always talk about, especially being in New York City, which many of us remember Superstorm Sandy. We like to talk to folks about, the risks of superstorms, the risks of hurricanes, the risk of other weather-related events. I will tell you, speaking of weather-related events, we don't think about heavy rain necessarily as being a weather-related event that workers need to be concerned with. But of course, it always is. There's always some kind of, incident that occurs when there's heavy rain, even just yesterday, right? So this is something that we like workers to be educated around. And one of the unique ways that we get workers to attend our programs also is that there's a high demand in New York City right now for the OSHA 30 training and the SST training. So one of the ways that we get high attendance at some of our other programs is by actually having them right before we do our OSHA 30 and our site safety training. We have, sometimes a disaster preparedness. We also used to do the vaccine forum right before. So it brings people to attend these other classes that they might not necessarily say, oh, I need to know about disaster preparedness. But because it's so mission focused for us, and because we do feel like it's important for workers to understand it, we kind of have those as like prerequisites, if you will, for some of our training programs. Temperature stress is an issue that we are very concerned with, along with many other unions and organizations across the country. And so we do education on heat stress. We also do education on cold stress, which many people may not think of as, when you think about the temperature issues and you think about climate change, you might not think, oh, what about cold? But of course, many workers that we work with, including agricultural workers, warehouse workers, some bus drivers, some delivery drivers, they do experience cold stress throughout New York State. So that's something that we do education around. And then finally, know your rights and wage theft. So we talk a lot about workers' rights, but what we found early on in our history as an organization is that if you go to a job site, and I'm sure you all have experienced this too, if you go to a job site and let's say the employer is misclassifying workers, or is, in other ways not creating a good work environment for their workers. Oftentimes, if there are a lot of health and safety violations, there tends to be some form of wage theft and vice versa. So we put out in one of our, I believe it was our 2015 Deadly Skyline report on construction fatalities, we found that there was a 78% correlation between sites that had wage theft and sites that had coinciding OSHA violations. And so because of this, we started to engage more deeply around wage theft. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our wage theft program in a second. The other piece that you may be familiar with that we do is we have an industrial hygiene program. This is where we conduct site assessments, we conduct sampling, and we do detailed reports with findings and recommendations for both employers and unions. So this might be, some employer or union representative gives us a call because they think something might be mold. or they want to know about their ventilation. Of course, this was huge during COVID. We got a lot of calls from different universities and schools about their ventilation and whether or not it was adequate. So we had to do a lot of testing there. Chemical storage and laboratory safety, fire and emergency egress, occupational noise, vehicle and equipment emissions. These are all different pieces. And, what we do and what we've done during the past year is also talk about the COVID response, particularly as it comes into play of like, what is the ventilation that we should have now? Even though I don't like to say post-COVID, we are post-pandemic. And so a lot of employers are still interested in, okay, how do I create a better ventilation system? And so we do provide that level of IH assistance to people. And if there are people listening and you need IH assistance, whether it's for your business or whether you're a union representative, we certainly do provide that. I promised I'd come back to wage theft. So we have a collaborative called the Manhattan Justice for Workers Collaborative with a number of different worker centers. And this is also a collaboration with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We have helped recover more than 125,000 wages this year for 67 workers. That's an average of almost $1,900 per worker. And we also have cases that, the number of cases that we represent is really just the tip of the iceberg because we're in a collaborative. So out of the 700 additional workers who reported wages were owed to them, but they were not able to recover them, we averaged around $3,500 per worker. So these are wages that are still owed to these workers who are working either with private attorneys or with the Department of Labor to recover around $3,500 that essentially was taken from them. So, there's really an immense scale of this problem. I will say that it's not in my slide, but the problem has only increased as there are more folks coming into New York City who are being exploited on the job. And so us, other organizations, we've all seen an influx of workers who really need support right now, who are, not just having sometimes their wages taken from them or, they're promised a rate of pay that they don't actually receive. They also have OSHA violations, DOB violations, other health and safety concerns on the job. So we're definitely very attuned to that. And then finally, in terms of our program, this is my last slide. I did want to let people know that we are an outreach provider with the World Trade Center Health Program. And this is a program that was established after 9/11. It's called the James Zadroga 9/11 Health Compensation Act. And this is to provide health care to these 9/11 responders and survivors. And, one of the things that we try to do is reach people who might not have heard of the 9/11 health program. So a lot of times, we're looking at construction workers, we're looking at responders, we're looking at the immigrant population as well. And even though it's 20 years later, a lot of folks still are not registered for this program. They don't know about the program, or they don't really think it's going to do anything if they register. So we try to educate people about this and, really get the word out, because our philosophy is that, if workers need healthcare and there's a program for them, we should be doing everything we can to get them registered, to get them the care that we need. So that's my last slide. As I said, NICOSH, we really are a combination of an advocacy and education organization. And we do a lot of direct service, and we do a lot of work that needs to be done that, might not come to mind when you think about, oh, this is an occupational safety and health organization. But we get a lot of workers through our door every single day, and we try to support them and do as much with each individual as we can. So I will leave it there. That is my presentation. And I'm so grateful to be able to present this to you. I know last time I was at the Workers' Compensation Board, I believe was probably almost 10 years ago now, or maybe like 8 years ago. So it's just an honor to be here. It's an honor to present to all of you. And I'm very appreciative of the work that you all do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlene. Appreciate it. Yeah, and that was 2016, so far too long. Absolutely.
Yes.
So with that, board members, may I please have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you, board members. Is there any opposition to the motion? All right, hearing none, board members all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? I am also a yes, meeting adjourned.